Road America. More than 4 miles of treacherous turns and long straightaways. This legendary road course, the perfect test for the 800-horse fire-breathing monsters of Trans Am. Will Ernie Francis Jr. continue to dominate? Or will a ringer named Ragginger steal the show? Road America hosts America's Road Racing Series Trans Am next on CBS Sports Network. Welcome to Road America at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for coverage of Trans Am presented by Pirelli, America's Road Racing Series. Today it's the Road America Trans Am Classic. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. NASCAR star Michael McDowell joins me for the call in a moment. Ashley Van Dyke has our coverage on pit road. They call this place America's National Park of Racetracks for good reason. 4 miles of long straightaways, tight corners, elevation changes, beautiful scenery. But today that scenery could be a bit soggy. For the third straight year, weather may be one of our major stories today. Tire selection could be crucial in this one. In Trans Am, though, the story is the invader, Martin Ragginger from Austria. Nearly won at Mid-Ohio a couple of weeks ago. Today he's got the pole here at Road America. Ernie Francis Jr., who's the points leader, who's dominated the season, has to start second. That's a strange place for him to go from. Ashley Van Dyke with us on pit road with more.
Martin Ragginger has scored his first career Trans Am pole this weekend here at Road America. Talk a little bit about the car as you're getting more familiar with this Camaro.
Well, yeah, we had a few problems in free practice, but the team did an amazing job. Berting Racing gave me an amazing car and all the crew to go on pole position. And yeah, it was just an amazing lap. 1 second ahead of everybody. Everything was perfect, braking, acceleration. And I started liking those cars, yeah.
You have Ernie Francis Jr., the points leader, hot on your heels, and Cliff Eben, a local who's won here many times before. How do you feel about the competition today and with the rain coming in as a part of your race strategy?
To be honest, it's the first time with those cars in the rain. I don't know what's going to happen. I just look forward to the race, and I will have fun and try everything I can. Let's see how it goes.
Martin Ragginger has won many endurance races. He's going to go for his first sprint race win here in Trans Am this weekend.
So Ragginger will lead the combined field to green, Michael McDowell. Points leader Mark Bowden in the fall line Porsche. He has to start second in TA3 today.
Last year at Road America, a little bit of rain came down on the racetrack, and those Porsches were fast, almost taking the overall victory.
We'll see what happens here today. Our pole qualifier in TA3, newcomer Jason Daskalos in a Dodge Viper. The rain may not be his friend here at Road America.
We know that the Porsches love the rain, rear engine car, a lot of traction off the corner, very fast. But this is the great equalizer. You see that green and yellow cloud coming across, rain puts it back in the driver's hands. This could be a great race today.
Certainly should be interesting. Cliff Eben with 3 career Trans Am wins here at this place. He is from Wisconsin. This is his home racetrack. Not a full-timer in the series this year, but he'll have his Ford Mustang ready to rumble. His teammate Denny Lammers from Appleton, Wisconsin in the 66 car, also a home track star here at Road America. A lot of amateur wins for both of those drivers. Tommy Dreese and Tony Ave's Corvette will line up 6th, just ahead of the 31, Dave Rouleau from Wisconsin in that machine. He is a longtime competitor here, former Trans Am champion Simon Gray in the field today as well in the 59. 4 miles of beautiful racetrack, Michael McDowell.
When you think of Trans Am and you think about Road America, those long straightaways, all that horsepower, almost up to 200 miles an hour, but not in the rain.
Down to turn 1, the right-hander could be very challenging. The downhill turn 5 up the hill to the Corvette Bridge. That may be the toughest part of this racetrack today.
This is a very challenging technical racetrack, but in the rain in particular, you have a lot of elevations, which creates puddles. There's going to be a lot of moisture on the racetrack. These cars can hydroplane. Those Pirelli tires are going to be put to work today.
Rain tires, of course, the order of the day here for Trans Am at Road America. You get a sense of what that mist will be like as our cameras are fighting the wet weather here as well. But if you're second or third row here today and that mist gets kicked up, how do you know where you're going?
You look for taillights and you hope nobody's there. It is so challenging from a driver's perspective. The windshield wiper helps a little bit, but with the mist and the fog and the rain, these cars put out a tremendous amount of water and you just cannot see. You got to be cautious and you got to take it safe, especially this first lap.
Now, TA4 also part of the show here today as the field groups up. Lights are out on the safety car. We're looking for a green this time around. We'll show you your starting lineups, top of your screen, presented by Pirelli and our friends at Three-Dimensional Services Group, as well as the TA3 field goes by. Trans Am cars headed up the hill here out of turn 14. Amy Ruman, the two-time defending champion in the red 23, diving onto pit road early here. We'll try to find out what's going on in her situation as the field comes to the green flag. Raginger on the inside in the Go Share Chevrolet. Green is in the air. On the outside, points leader Ernie Francis Jr. Vinny Alligretto right there as they head to turn 1.
You can see the spray coming off of the cars. Ernie Francis Jr. has the preferred line going into turn 1, but it looks like Raginger got a great start.
Cliff Eben, the veteran from this facility, settling into 4th spot. TA3, Jason Daskalos ahead of Mark Bowden's Porsche as they head down toward turn 1. Daskalos in that Viper, he was very quick in qualifying in the dry. You wouldn't think that car would be great in the wet. Here's Todd Napierowski in that brand new SKF Bearings 39 car, that Chevrolet Camaro, the ZL1. Chevy Performance heavily involved in that car. They're testing a lot of stuff on that car here this weekend. We'll find out more about that later. Napierowski grabs the lead, and Raginger's out in front overall. Ernie Francis settling into second. Meantime, Amy Ruman on pit road.
Rick, I just spoke with Amy Ruman's team, and on that recon lap, she spun and went off. They had to pull it down pit lane, clean off that front radiator, also got inside the car and cleaned off the inside of the windshield, as visibility is already becoming an issue for these cars down here.
Visibility so tough for drivers in these conditions. A couple things can happen. If you get any moisture inside that cockpit, the engine is still hot, the exhaust is hot, creates that mist, that humidity inside, fogs up that window. So you gotta have a great defroster, you gotta have a great wiper system, and you also gotta have a rag like we saw in Martin's car right there, just in case you need to clean the window.
Mark Bowden, meantime, has gotten around Daskalos in that Viper. Cindy Lux settling into third in her Dodge Viper. Mark Bowden starting to show the form we saw from him here a year ago.
And Porsches love the rain. I can't tell you enough what it's like to drive a Porsche in the rain. You got that rear engine, all the weight over the rear tires, can put down the power off the corners, light, nimble. Then you have the contrast of that big, long wheelbase Viper, throaty, big power, lot of mass. Going to be very difficult to manage that Viper in the rain.
Especially since it's so nose heavy with that V10 engine.
Absolutely. Big engine, big wheelbase. It's not a car that you think of, I'm going to take this out in the rain. That is a fast car down the straightaway, though.
Ernie Francis Jr., his first year in Trans Am, the dominator so far. He's won 5 of the first 7 races. He is the points leader by a significant margin. Raginger and Claudio Burton's Chevrolet, that Camaro-bodied car, taking his measure here in the early going. And there's Vinny Alligretto in the 41, the Sights and Sounds Chevrolet, doing a terrific job in his first real strong campaign. Brand new race car this year. Vinny really a contender for the championship. Hasn't won his first race yet, but he's been close a couple of times.
Showing a lot of speed and consistently being up front. We saw him first challenge at Indy, really put the pressure on Ernie Francis in the rain, difficult conditions, nice and smooth. You can have a great day.
Former autocrosser from East Hampton on Long Island. Meantime, Raginger, with all that European experience, all the endurance racing background in sports cars, plenty of rain experience. Didn't get a chance to talk to Ernie Francis before the start today about his rain background. He's been doing this now for several years, so he's raced in the rain here before the last couple of years. But driving one of these Trans Am cars that makes 750, 800 horsepower, that's a whole different kind of race car.
It is, and every time we see some challenge thrown at Ernie Francis Jr., he rises to the occasion. At Mid-Ohio, first challenger, Martin Raginger there, putting the pressure on him. Ernie doesn't buckle at all. In the rain here.
Oh, Raginger offline and apparently with a problem. We checked the onboard camera on the 50 car. Sounds like he can't get that car in gear.
Sounds like he's got no gears at all. You know, it's in neutral, engine's revving. Not sure if he had a downshift and broke a gear or broke a drive shaft, but that's going to end his day.
Martin Raginger, after taking the pole in the 50 car, trying to close the deal and win after he came so close at Mid-Ohio a couple of weeks ago. He's rolling backwards here now. Cannot find a forward gear in the 50 car, so that will be a local caution at the very least.
Hard right.
Claudio Burton, the team owner, on the radio with his driver, trying to figure out what's wrong, if possible. See if they can make some repairs there. Ernie Francis takes over the lead in front of Alligretto and Cliff Eben. More to come from Road America.
Trans Am on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Three-Dimensional Services Group.
Prototype, production, proven. By GoShare, your friend with a truck. And by Pirelli, power is nothing without control.
Welcome back to Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Coverage of the Road America Trans Am Classic today on CBS Sports Network. Alongside Michael McDowell, I'm Rick Benjamin. Ashley Van Dyke with our coverage on Pit Road. Everyone with the rain gear on. It's been raining here since the start of the day, and trouble again for our two-time defending Trans Am champion Amy Ruhlman, the McNichols Company Chevrolet, off at turn 5. Whoa.
You can see her lock up those front tires. Once they stop rolling, no steering in that car, slid over the curb. She did the right thing there, released the brake once she knew she wasn't going to get into that barrier.
When you're trying to stop a car that you're having trouble steering, the tires just don't, no matter how good these Pirelli rain tires are, and they are superb, you just don't have enough contact patch there.
Once you lock the tire, there is no steering, there's no grip, so you have to release the brake. It's hard to release the brake when you're headed towards a concrete barrier.
Watching TA4 action, points leader Brian Kleeman. There's Todd Napierowski in the 39, running second, the Tremec SKF Bearing Chevy Camaro. Brand new piece for Todd and his team. Chevy Performance heavily involved in developing the new ZL1. Ashley talked to Todd earlier.
Todd Napierowski has a lot of excitement going on down here in the Trans Am paddock as he is set to debut this Gen 6 Chevrolet Camaro in the TA4 production-based class here in Trans Am. Todd, talk to us a little bit about the development of this car and those Chevrolet Performance parts.
It's been a great relationship with Chevrolet Performance, getting to test these parts for the consumers. We're running a production intake, a production strut tower brace, and production brake package that the consumer can order when they purchase their new Camaro. So we've got some other things that we're testing for the future, but it's just been a great relationship to take these parts to the track that have been engineered and actually validate them, and check durability, and see how they're going to hold up under extreme conditions.
They've got Chevrolet Performance engineers out here from Detroit helping Todd this weekend, looking to put on a competitive run here at Road America.
Great stuff, and we welcome Chevy Performance here to Trans Am through the 39 car. On board here with Todd Napierowski. Interesting guy. I really enjoyed talking to him this weekend. He's a racing dentist. Said, hey, I practice about 40% of my time. He owns a dental practice with a couple of partners. The rest of my time I spend racing these cars and developing this package. Full telemetry on that car this weekend, and they're doing pretty well with it.
The new Chevy is awesome looking. Performance seems to be there. The weather conditions going to test it in a different capacity altogether. But Chevrolet is big on this new Camaro, the ZL1. They're pushing it across a lot of their platforms in racing, and it's good to see that brand be unified throughout the different platforms.
Yeah, the NASCAR Cup Series, you may well be driving a Camaro-bodied car next year. So we'll look forward to seeing that, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be really neat. I was able to go to Detroit and see the car up close and personal. Looks great. They've done a great job making it look like the street car, but also adding some downforce for us next year, which we love.
Of course, Trans Am, long the playground for American muscle cars. The Ford Mustang. This is the new Mustang bodywork for Ernie Francis Jr. And then the Corvettes in front of the Jason Daskalos Dodge Viper. I mean, this is American racing. American race cars. These cars have been part of Trans Am for more than 50 seasons.
And what's neat about Trans Am, the cars look like the street cars. The race cars look like the street cars, and that branding's there. You can look at that Viper and go, that is a Viper. You look at the Corvette, you know that's a Corvette. And racing for the last 10 years has gotten away from that, where Trans Am has brought it back home. American muscle cars, you can identify with them. They're cool, they're fast, they're loud, they're everything that makes racing great.
Meantime, how about a shout out to Daskalos in his debut in Trans Am, leading TA3 and whistling by the Trans Am car of Dave Rullo there, the 31.
I misspoke earlier. I said the Viper wouldn't be very good in the rain. Obviously, he's proven me wrong, doing a great job, lots of speed, running out front.
Here comes Daskalos. Certainly a great debut for Daskalos in Trans Am. Veteran road racer. He's been around for a number of years, but that Daskalos Performance Dodge really putting down some great laps here in the wet.
And you can see he's doing a great job being precise, not getting on those painted curbs. In the wet conditions, when you touch a curb and then you get on that slick paint, the car just wants to take off. Now, when the conditions are dry, it builds up a lot of rubber and there's a lot of grip on those curbs. But as soon as the water hits it, it's like driving on ice.
Get a sense of how much water there is here right now as we take a look at your TA3 running order. Daskalos over Bowden and Cindy Lux. We'll be back. Welcome back to Road America. They say rain is a great equalizer in road racing. We've certainly seen that here today. Ernie Francis Jr. dominant since the departure of Martin Raginger. Vinny Alligretto running second in the 41 car. But we've got a mix of TA3, TA, and TA4 cars behind the two leaders. Amy Ruman back out on the racetrack. Here comes Alligretto in the 41.
And with this track being so large, over 4 miles long, there are parts of this racetrack that are starting to dry out. You get to the other side and there's still puddles and there's still rain. This is a tough track to know exactly what you're gonna have each and every lap. You see so much water being moved by these race cars, so every lap the track is changing, conditions are changing. This is a real challenge for these drivers.
Cliff Eben back there third in the 36 car. Driver's been at it a long time in the Stump Ford Mustang. Cliff a Trans Am regular for several seasons, also a regular competitor in SCCA GT1 competition with this car. Cliff backing off a little from his full-time Trans Am commitment, still running a lot of amateur events. A lot of those drivers pointing toward the SCCA runoffs coming up in September at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. First time ever for the runoffs. We're looking forward to being there in a few weeks. Amy Ruman trying to hold back Vinny Alligretto, wanting to not go another lap down to the leaders, but she's not able to defend that position, so she'll have to settle back in here, try to gather up the 23 car. Meantime, Alligretto to the inside of Todd Napierowski in that beautiful brand new Camaro. Cliff Eben on the outside. In rain racing, Michael, and you and I have talked about this before as we get back on board the Chevy Performance onboard camera here in the 39. You don't run the normal line, do you?
You want to be offline. Anywhere where you'd run in the dry, in the wet, it is extremely slick. And why that is that as you run in the dry, you're laying rubber down. When the water hits the rubber, it brings the oil to the surface, and you're sliding around not only on the rain, but on the rubber and the oil that's already on the racetrack. So you want to be far off that line as possible, almost running the rim around the outside, as you see Amy doing right here. Even in the brake zones, you want to brake offline, accelerate offline, and you got to mix it up because sometimes you got to cross it. And what I mean by that is at some point you're going to go across the rubber. Where you do that at is really important. So drivers are trying different things. They're moving around. They're trying their adjustments inside the car, the brake bias, trying to get those balances right. Because in the rain, there's so much control from the driver's standpoint that you have to be right on your game and precise.
If there's a driver in the Trans Am field who can't wait for this season to be over, it would have to be Amy Ruman. They've had terrible luck this year. They've had issues in a lot of events, including Mid-Ohio a couple of weeks ago. Amy's day not starting well here. She qualified 5th in the 23 car. She's used to running up front. She had to go off early. She went off course down at turn 5, back settling in 10th. Cindy Lux, meantime, in her Viper, the 45, doing a great job. She's outrunning Dave Rouleau here in that TA Corvette.
And what this shows, we talked about the rain being a great equalizer, but not only that, when you're comfortable in the rain, when you're excited on race day and you see rain clouds and you go, yes, today's the day. And that's what you see from a lot of drivers. There's other drivers that dread the rain, not a lot of experience or just don't enjoy it. So today is a day where you can have a standout performance. You can beat cars you normally would not beat in dry conditions just because of the experience and the fact that you love being out there in the rain.
Challenge for second spot. Cliff Eben in that white Mustang, the 36, all over the back deck lid now. Vinny Alligretto on the 41. This is a case where local knowledge, which Eben has tons of here at Road America, may come into play.
The local knowledge is so important on a wet track. One thing is you know where the puddles are. You know where the slick spot of the racetrack is. But even with that knowledge, passing a car in the rain is very challenging because you have to go online to make that pass, and that's where it's slick. So you have to force a guy into a mistake, and that's hard to do when you can't see. Right around the outside, rim shot through the grass.
Eben trying the cushion here, but this isn't a dirt track. He makes it one. He's going to lose a ton of ground to Vinny Alligretto by going off into the grass there.
What a great save in the wet condition. Eben had the right idea. That's where you want to be, right up against that white line, but it shows how precise you have to be. He gets that right front just on the white line. As soon as he hits the paint, the car takes off out in a gravel trap. I don't know how he saved it. That was a great save.
So Cliff Eben, the veteran from Wisconsin, gets back up on the racetrack, but it gives Vinny Alligretto some breathing room now as he stretched it out. There's Kerry Hitt's Cadillac next in line, although Kerry is a lap down. Rulo there in the 31 car. Your TA3 running order, top of your screen. Mark Bowden is still the leader. Tim Kesman, his teammate, fourth in front of Tom Herb, and the 31 of Rulo with some problems. He's off, and that's a big paved runoff area going downhill to turn 5. He gets it sideways, trying to go up the hill.
Crossing across those seams that we just talked about, and a lot of the exit curbs here at Road America have little channels, and those channels will hold water. So if you just get a little bit outside, there's literally puddles inside the curbs that'll suck that moisture out.
6th, 7th, and 8th right here in Trans Am. Kerry Hitt in the 19 car. He's the car builder for a lot of these machines now. His company produces the bodywork for the Cadillac and for the new Camaro. Rulo in that Corvette trying to hold back former champion Simon Gregg and Jim Durhock's 59. Here comes the race leader, Ernie Francis Jr., trying to put these guys a lap down all the way up to 7th spot. Ernie Francis laying down some great laps here.
Ernie Francis Jr. does not mind challenges. He is one fierce competitor. Doesn't matter if it's raining, doesn't matter if it's dry, he can do it, and he's been able to do it every weekend we've seen him race this TA car. This is his first year in these big, heavy, high horsepower race cars, and he makes it look like he's been doing it a lifetime. Very talented guy. He's got a big career in front of him.
Ernie, a 3-time champion in Trans Am and TA4 and TA3, making the big move this year. He didn't stop off in TA2 for a year. He said, hey, we're going all the way, and we're going to put together a full-bore Trans Am race car, challenge for the championship. He's done it in style. 5 wins and 7 starts coming into this weekend at Road America. He's just about put the championship out of reach, not completely yet. Still 5 rounds to go after this weekend, but certainly he's got a great opportunity to bag his, it would be his 4th Trans Am championship, his first in TA. Out onto turn 14 in the front straightaway. Ernie's your leader. We'll be back at Road America.
Trans Am on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Speedcom Communications. For 20 years, the world leader in motorsports radio and communications systems.
Welcome back to Road America. Coverage of Trans Am America's Road Racing Series presented by Pirelli for 2nd spot. Cliff Eben again on the outside of Vinny Alligretto. Can he get it done this time? Yes.
A great move, tried it again, was successful this time, gave himself a little bit extra room just in case he slid wide there. Obviously, Cliff Eben knows where to be in the rain. This is an opportunity for Vinny to learn from a veteran here on where to be.
Now think about what he did a couple of laps ago. He got off in the gravel trap in the grass, got the radiator all dirty. He was able to get through all that and get enough speed going to chase Alligretto down and pass him.
It's a great move, and it's a great performance. Cliff Eben laying everything on the line, lots of speed, and he is hustling that car. You see him sliding off the corner. He's putting on a show today.
And he is making maximum use of these brand new Pirelli rain tires. Now, these tires were tested, but this is the first time they've been used in a Trans Am event. This is the first season for Pirelli tires being the official tire provider for Trans Am. All 3 classes, TA, TA3, TA4. Here's a look at the TA tire, that rain tire being mounted up. Putting a lot of stress on these teams, Michael, because some of them had to go to Pirelli and say, hey, unmount our slicks and put on the rains for us.
You know, unlike other racing forms, the Trans Am cars do not have pit stops. They're not sitting there with 10 or 15 sets of tires and wheels already mounted up. They may have 2 or 3 sets, and those were mounted up with dry tires. A lot of extra work for the teams, for the crews, but also for the Pirelli team there, the engineers and the specialists that mount and dismount those tires.
As we watch the battle for 4th here in TA3 between Tim Kesman and Tom Herb, teammates at Fall Line Motorsports in those mid-engine Porsches. The grooves and what they call the siping in those rain tires, that's what, to get rid of all the water as you drive through the puddles, right?
The biggest thing, the biggest challenge in the rain is when you hit those puddles, you don't want to aquaplane, which means you don't want the water literally to pick up the tire and shoot you off. Those treads, those grooves, move the water from underneath the tire and the ground and allow you to have traction.
And you get a sense of how much grippier these Porsches could be in wet conditions. Kesman able to kind of turn that car to the inside as he came down the hill.
They're very light, nimble, they point very well, and we can see spots on this racetrack that are starting to come dry. They're not completely dry. There's still a lot of moisture on the racetrack, but the track is changing right now. As a driver, I'm thinking about do I need to conserve these rain tires? We talked about the grooves. We talked about them being soft and having extra grip. If the track starts to dry out, you can wear them out very quickly. Then you'll be looking for moisture. You'll be looking for puddles. Right now, there's still enough moisture on the racetrack, but there's parts of this racetrack that are drying out.
Now, rain tires traditionally are very soft, which means they're very sensitive to high temperatures.
They do not like the heat. And what will happen is as they get hot, they'll get slimy and they'll also start walking around. Those treads will move around so much that down the straightaway, the car won't even want to go straight. So you got to be careful not to get them too hot.
Ernie Francis Sr. talking to his son, Ernie Jr., who's leading the race in the 98 car, probably giving him some coaching, some lap times. Back it down, you've got a big lead, no problem there. Top of your screen, our running order and the clock time remaining. This race, 65 minutes or 100 miles, 25 laps around this 4-mile racetrack. There's Lamers in the 66. Here comes Alligretto in the 41 car as we watch the TA3 running order top of your screen from our friends at 3-Dimensional Services Group. Alligretto sitting third in that 41, doing a very nice job. He's been smooth, and that's one of the biggest challenges on a day like today, just keeping the car on the asphalt.
You're racing the racetrack. You're not racing the competitors. If you can keep it on the black stuff, keep it out of the gravel, out of the grass, more than likely you're going to have a pretty good day. But so far today, we've seen all these drivers doing a great job. Not a lot of accidents, not a lot of offs. We've seen a handful of them, but most part of this race has been pretty clean for how wet it is.
David Pintarik in the 57 car, sitting fourth in his Kreider Racing Cadillac that carries one of Kerry Hitt's bodywork packages on that beautiful race car. Pintarik backing down his schedule a little this year, not chasing the championship this season. He said, hey, I want to come to these places like Road America, legendary racetracks. It's what Trans Am is all about, and have an opportunity to win some races. So they've cut back on their schedule a little. Pintarik, always competitive, put on a great show at Indianapolis earlier. And here comes the car of Tommy Dreese. This is the 8 car, the Murder on the Orient Express Chevrolet from Tony Ave's team. Good to have Tommy back with us here the last couple of races.
He's done a great job, nice, smooth races. I was expecting to see him further towards the front today, just with his experience. It's a lot of experience in the rain in particular, but it's early in this race still. It's still a lot of racing to have, and this is part of what you got to do. You got to stay on the racetrack and be in position at the end.
Now, they put some tape over the grill there on the 8 car. Haven't seen that on too many other cars. Is that a matter of not wanting to take water into the radiator?
Well, what happens is, in these conditions, obviously the
Ernie Francis a little sideways off the corner there.
Sliding it off the corner. The radiators in these cars want to be at a certain temperature. It might be 220 degrees. With these cooler conditions and not pushing the car to the absolute limit down all the straightaways, it might actually run too cool. And in that point, that's when you start hurting parts. So might just be a little piece of tape to help control the temperature, to keep it up a little bit, and that allow the engine to perform at its max performance.
Ernie Francis, the race leader in the 98 car. Jason Daskelos there in the white Viper, the 7 car with the black trim. He's leading TA3 by a wide margin. He has driven away from the fall line Porsches, and again, I'm as stunned here as anybody. Here's Bowden, the 2nd place car in TA3, who hasn't really been able to mount a challenge against Daskelos.
If we remember last year, Mark Bowden was challenging for the race win overall ahead of all the TA cars, and the fact that he's running 2nd in the rain in a Porsche, you see him sliding it in the brake zone, just shows how good that Viper is performing today.
Bowden in that fall line machine, the 46 car. Into the carousel, working the outside here, trying to find some wet ground to drive that car.
You see him working that traditional rain line, the rim shot around the carousel, a very daunting corner, especially in these conditions.
Give a call to Cindy Lux in the 45 car, the Lux Performance Dodge out of the Pacific Northwest. Again, a part-timer with us this season. Cindy focusing on the bigger events, Road America, Mid-Ohio, and so forth. Doing a terrific job in that car.
Cindy Lux having a great day, being very smooth, not making any mistakes. Probably her best performance 2 season.
Kerry Hitt right behind in the 19, the Advanced Composites Cadillac from our Trans Am competitors, moving by Cindy Lux's TA3 machine. Kerry Hitt up in front of Vinny Alligretto, at least for the moment here. Your TA4 running in order. It's still Brian Kleeman in his Mustang out in front. The 07 car, Todd Napierowski in 2nd. And Simon Gregg takes the 59 inside Cindy Lux's Viper in the right-hander. If you're Cindy Lux and you've been racing these Vipers at this level for quite some time, she won last year at Brainerd in this car. Having Jason Daskelos show up with a somewhat different Viper package and watching him lead has got to be one, a little frustrating, two, maybe a little encouraging to say, hey, at least we've got the right car here.
Motivating for sure. When you see another brand, the same brand as yours, a car that you're driving very similar, having that performance, it makes your team, it makes you step up, and that's what drives this sport, is having multiple manufacturers, multiple teams with the same cars, who can get the most performance out of each and every brand.
The DWW Motorsports Ford, the 07 of Brian Kleeman, out in front comfortably here in TA4. Kleeman, the points leader, he's won a bunch of these races this year, dominating this category so far here in 2017. His teammate having trouble this weekend. Chris Outzen in the other machine from DWW Motorsports, they had problems with the driveline in their car, had to fix the car and start at the back. And oh, speaking of problems, I think that is Outzen who got the wall big time in the 97 car. And Chris Outzen.
You can see the fluid dumping out of that car, the radiator, oil cooler. That is going to make these wet conditions even more of a challenge. Hopefully he'll pull off the track there. The team will let him know so that the track's not covered in fluid.
Outzen shedding parts and pieces. Full course yellow for the 97, who got one of the barriers hard. He yard sailed that thing across the racetrack.
Heavy damage. You can see the impact. The entire nose is sitting right there off the racetrack. A tough, tough hit.
Big crowd enjoying the action here. Road America's Trans Am Classic at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We'll be right back on CBS Sports Network. Welcome back to Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, with Michael McDowell. I'm Rick Benjamin, Ashley Van Dyke with our coverage in the paddock and on pit road today. The Road America Trans Am Classic. And Michael, take a look at the radar. Looks like the weather conditions are starting to get better here.
It's starting to clear up. We saw in that last shot, the windshield wipers are not going anymore. And this is what we talked about early in the race. Now it's a tire management race. You have to find the puddles. You got to keep those rain tires cool.
On board with Todd Napierowski in that Chevy Performance Corvette. Downstairs to Ashley.
Rick, we spoke with Todd Napierowski down here in the garage looking at his new Gen 6 Chevrolet Camaro, and we learned about some Chevrolet performance parts that you guys can get at home. Skog and Dickey Parts Center has all your Chevrolet performance parts at sdparts.com.
Some Chevrolet engineers helping Todd Napierowski and his team continue to develop that new ZL1 Gen 6 Camaro platform. Terrific looking car. We look for some success from that team, more success as the weeks go by. Green flag back in the air here at Road America. Cliff Eben right in behind the 98 of Ernie Francis as they work by Jason Daskalos, who's leading TA3. Here comes Vinny Alligretto on the inside, trying to challenge for second. He won't get there.
Looking aggressive, trying to make a move, and now's the time to do it on these restarts. Now the track is changing. This is going to be very challenging for these drivers that have been running under caution, not having temperature in the tires, not having temperature in the brakes. This is one of those times where you can easily make a mistake.
Vinny Alligretto hoping to use that restart to close in on Eben's Mustang, the 36. But Daskalos kind of holding things up there a little bit.
Daskalos doing a great job once again, running fourth on the racetrack. That's not fourth overall, but he is doing a great job leading his class and doing what he needs to do to keep Mark Bowden behind him.
Laps winding down here at Road America, as is usual with Trans Am. 100 miles our distance today. That's 25 laps here at Road America, this 4-mile racetrack. We're under a time limit, though, as well. The clock showing 6 minutes and coming up on 30 seconds remaining of racing. Time for another 3 or 4 laps here today. We'll see how things play out. Bowden, meantime, in the 46, running second in TA3. He's the TA3 points leader. A second today certainly helps him. Kerry Hitt having a hard time getting past him here. Here comes Pintarek now. Simon Gregg's gotten by Pintarek.
They have their own three-way battle going on. Mark Bowden's looking in the mirror saying, okay, guys, don't make this break zone. Don't wild me up in your mess here. And what's tough is you see that drying line on the inside of the carousel. If you want to be aggressive, you can go there. You can try it. Now is the time where you can mix it up, maybe find a little bit extra speed compared to your competitor.
On board here with David Pintarek and his Kreider Racing Cadillac CTSV.
Into the high-speed kink. You can see moisture still on the windshield on the backside of this racetrack.
Pintarek sitting fourth on the lead lap. Simon Gregg, Amy Ruman, other Trans Am competitors and contenders not on the lead lap at this point, but just if you've survived 100 miles here at Road America in these conditions, I'd say that's a win for a lot of drivers.
It is a long race in these conditions, high intensity, your death gripping that wheel, cannot make a mistake, your braking, your downshifting, everything has to be so precise, it puts a lot of stress on the driver.
Kerry hit there in the 19 car. The developer of that Cadillac ATS-V bodywork out of 14 up this long front straightaway. Mark Bowden's fall line Porsche up ahead, second in TA3. Now the high horsepower cars get quite a draft going here.
You see the difference in speed right there between the TA cars and the TA3 cars. Huge difference in speed down these straightaways, but in the corners, Mark Bowden is able to hang with these guys.
Pintark getting by hit there. Again, not on the same lap. David Pintark fourth overall. Daskalos up ahead in the Viper, your TA3 leader. On board here with Brian Kleeman in the 07. He's your leader in TA4 ahead of Napierowski's 39. Joe Bogatic is third. We'll be right back. Back at Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Trying weather for the Road America Trans Am Classic. And Ernie Francis Jr. in the Bona County Fun Ford. Again, Michael McDowell has not put a wheel wrong here today.
Doing what he does best, and that's win these TA races. I can't say enough about him. He's done a great job all season long. Nothing surprises him. Nothing gets him off his game, and his game is on point this year. He is winning this championship in a dominant fashion if he can just keep it going.
Now, you were here a year ago as we watched Brian Kleeman continue to lead in TA4. You won the NASCAR Xfinity Series race on this very weekend a year ago. Your full-time NASCAR Cup Series obligations keeping you from coming to Road America to race this weekend. But what about Ernie Francis Jr. getting, as we watch the Bogatic 65 car get crossed up and get into the concrete barrier. The Westover controlled Chevrolet, he got both ends of that car.
Heavy damage, wrong spot, wrong time, that concrete barrier. But what happened was he got a little loose, got on that wet grass, and once it hit the wet grass, it accelerated into that barrier. Heavy contact.
So Bogatic, who was on his way perhaps to a podium finish, will not see the checkered flag today at Road America. The white flag waving over Ernie Francis Jr., who ran second the first few laps behind the 50 of Martin Reiginger. Ernie has been all by himself ever since. Here's what happened to Bogatic a moment ago.
We talked about how slick that wet paint is. Got on that curb, got that moisture, got on the wet paint, and that car just took off.
So Bogatic in the 65 car, pulling that car into a safe area behind that barrier. Ernie Francis Jr. less than 4 miles away from another victory in Trans Am. This one at historic Road America at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Again, has not put a wheel wrong in that Bona County Fun 98 car today. Meantime, coming up here on CBS Sports Network, we'll have coverage of the TA2 event here at Road America, powered by AEM Infinity. They, of course, provide the engine management systems for all TA2 cars. Rafa Matos and the three-dimensional services group Chevrolet team here. Mike Copes bunch here, along with the 5, the Pennzoil Chevrolet of Lawrence Loshak. Sheldon Creed driving one of the Speed Logics Dodges this weekend for Joe Stevens' team. The 68 car being driven this weekend by Jacques Lazier. Quite a TA2 get-together at Road America, and we'll have it for you coming up in the days ahead here on CBS Sports Network. On board with Brian Kleeman in the 07 as he works behind a slower car, the 10 of J.R. Pesic, one of his competitors in TA4, but Kleeman's had him covered pretty much all weekend, as has Ernie Francis Jr. Once Reiginger fell by the boards, it's been all Ernie Francis. Now, what I was going to ask you before, Michael, he's going to make his Xfinity Series debut in NASCAR this weekend. Not in one of the front-running cars, but that's clearly a young driver who's got the opportunity to move up.
Has the opportunity. He also has the talent. Now, whether that's a great opportunity for him this weekend, but one thing it does, it gets him experience, it gets him in front of the NASCAR group, and that's important, especially for a young, talented guy like him.
Ernie Francis Jr. out of the final corner here at Road America, up the hill, heading toward the stripe. He will win his 6th Trans Am event in 8 tries here in 2017. Ernie Francis Jr. picks up another victory at Road America and the Trans Am Classic, adding to his championship lead. He is on his way to a title here in his first full season in TA. Kleeman in the 07, his Ford Mustang from the DWW Motorsports team into the carousel one final time. Looks like he's on his way to an impressive victory in TA4, and Kleeman's been the dominator in that Ford.
He has been the dominator, lots of speed, dominant performance, not much of a challenge today for him.
Amy Ruman seeing the checkered flag, Simon Gregg as well, and the 66 of Denny Lammers. Your TA3 champion today, Jason Daskalos in his series debut, and the Daskalos performance, vintage 423 Dodge Viper. In front of Mark Bowden, who will come home in second spot.
Trans Am on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Three Dimensional Services Group. Prototype, production, proven. By GoShare, your friend with a truck. And by Pirelli, Power is nothing without control.
Ernie Francis Jr. just secured a win here at Road America, keeping your points lead, but that was a wild race.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, Martin was quick in the beginning for the first couple laps, but his car seemed to have an issue. We were just kind of pacing to see how he was out there. And yeah, once we got out front, just kind of ran consistent laps, just running to where the car felt comfortable out there. The restart, we didn't want to see it, but when the restart happened, I just put my head down, ran a few good laps, just got a gap to Cliff and the guys behind there, and showed that we had the pace out there in the rain. And yeah, just took it home and got another win. So.
A lot of variables here this weekend, Rick. Ernie Francis Jr. proved himself the victor here this weekend.
His second consecutive victory, 6th overall this season, adding to his championship lead. Cliff Eben, coming back at his home racetrack, ran a nice second today.
Cliff Eben had a great drive, didn't get the victory lane like he wanted to, but put on a great performance around the outside of the carousel to pass Vinny Alligretto for second place.
Alligretto takes the 3rd step on the podium. Let's hear from our runner-up in Trans Am.
Down here with Cliff Eben, having a local race here in front of friends and family. Tell us about your race today, Cliff.
Well, it was really hard to see in the beginning. You could hardly, see where you were on the track at all, and then you just had to kind of wait, and the rain kind of died down a little bit and got a little easier to see, and just kept at it and made it to the finish.
Good work today on that P2 finish here at Road America.
Cliff Eben smiling when he comes to Road America. Always a joy to race at this racetrack. Happy with his 2nd place finish here today. Jason Daskelos extremely impressive in his Dodge. First time out for Daskelos in Trans Am. Comes home the winner.
Unbelievable debut, victory lane, and not only that, beating the rain master, Mark Bowden.
Bowden ends up 2nd in front of Cindy Lux. Let's hear from our TA3 winner.
Jason Daskelos coming out in your first Trans Am race and getting the win today in the Viper, in the wet, on those Pirelli rain tires.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't too wet. Not enough where it was a downpour, but the track was wet enough. These Pirelli tires worked great. The car was set up great, and happy to come out with the win.
Congratulations to you today, and rumor has it he may be at COTA, folks.
Looking forward to seeing more of Jason Daskelos, especially at Circuit of the Americas come November. Brian Kleeman again the winner in TA4 and his Mustang in front of Todd Napierowski's brand new Gen 6 Camaro. Pasek ends up 3rd in his Mustang in front of Joe Bogatich, who hit the wall very late in the 65 car. We caught up with Brian Kleeman after the checkered flag here today.
This place is always really, really tricky in the wet, especially when we've got multi-class like we do here with Trans Am. The fast cars are a lot faster than we are in TA4, so there's a lot of spray, visibility's bad. And some of the corners you run a dry line with new pavement, some of them you run a wet line, so even from corner to corner the conditions change a lot, so it's real tricky here, and you just got to be real careful, make sure the car makes it to the end, so you can make it to the next event.
TA4, that production-based class, very tricky conditions in the rain.
Well, the new ZL1 Camaro in the hands of Todd Napierowski solved them nicely.
Todd Napierowski debuted that Chevrolet Performance Camaro here this weekend and led the first few laps that came up 2nd. Todd, tell us how your race went today.
We had a good day. We learned a lot about the car. We had a great start, got out in front, led a couple laps. First time in the wet on the car, testing the new setup and the new suspension. But all in all, considering what it took to get here and what we accomplished this weekend, we're real happy with the development. We got more speed in the car, so we're looking forward to Watkins Glen and showing what we can do there.
And as we've seen with all these teams this weekend, Rick, there's been a lot of variables out here battling visibility and things, but Todd got 2nd with that new car debut this weekend.
Todd doing a great job in that Camaro, working out the fine details, getting the speed out of it, getting on the podium.
Ernie Francis Jr., the dominator, though, here today for breathless performance. And the Bona County Fund winning his 6th Trans Am round of 2017 and adding to his championship lead. Been a wild weekend here. Next up for us, coverage of TA2 at Road America. The Road America Muscle Car Challenge next here on CBS Sports Network. We congratulate our 3 winners in the Road America Trans Am Classic. Ernie Francis Jr. overall and in Trans Am. Jason Daskelos in TA3 and Brian Kleeman in TA4. For Michael McDowell, Ashley Van Dyke, I'm Rick Benjamin. Thanks for watching Trans Am presented by Pirelli.